Pokemon coming through portals from the past and future. This is what a Paradox Pokemon is. Why don't we do like Sada and do a playthrough with them? No, not one of these. A Koraidon. This is what I'm talking about. An ancient Cyclizar. Oh, his whole point in this entire game is we don't get to use him, but he will steal our sandwiches. Brilliant. Oh, there's one. Oh, Nemona, no. I want to fight this Pokemon and catch it. Thankfully, Sliverwing wanted me to catch them as well, as they follow me and force me into a battle. Once we do eventually catch it, we give it the name Dodo. I also decided I wanted to make this early game challenging, so I picked the bug type, as we've got a fire type starter for Nemona. My Gust doesn't do amazing damage to it, and it hits me with an Ember. On top of that, the Ember burns me the very first turn, like we're now on a timer for the battle. We then have about 4 back and forths, but I do eventually take down the Fuecoco. However, fortune favors me. I managed to use a bug bite and crit to one-shot her for me. I really hope this luck manages to even out through the entirety of the run, just like we did there. I gave myself a rule that I need to pass a gym badge before I can catch other Paradox Pokemon, just because they can be really good in the early game. So let's get into the Katie gym battle. Now, I'll be honest, I thought her Pokemon were weak, but her Nimble manages to survive a flame charge. Obviously, the next turn, we are going to take it down, but maybe these Paradox Pokemon aren't as good as I thought. This could actually be a real struggle going through the run. Tarantulas only move for me is Bug Bite, and we do take it down, but again, it took us 2 flame charges. We managed to knock her Teddiursa to half health, which is a good thing because it's obviously going to be a takedown next turn. And its Fury Swipes honestly does some decent damage. It's just a shame it only hit twice. All right, that's it. Time to finish it. It survived on a Slither. Are you joking me? Thankfully, she goes for a Fury Cutter, so it's set damage. And I'll say it now, if she'd have managed to hit us 5 times with the Fury Cutter and then hit us again with it for about 3 or 4 times, we would have gone down, so we got lucky here. Nonetheless, that does give us our first gym badge. And now we can head on and catch the second Pokemon, and that's going to be a Sandy Sharks. We catch it and give it the name Sabertooth. It turns out Cloth is a coward as he runs away from us. And that's for hurting my feelings. Yeah, you better run away. I decide to have a break and take the kids to the playground. Aren't they happy? Next on the chopping block is Brassius. Unfortunately, a bug bite takes down every single one of his grass types. I don't struggle whatsoever. I guess my little Dodo just loves chewing on twigs. We can then run into our next encounter, which is going to be a Screamtail. I managed to catch it and we give it the name Arctidus. Ew, evolution hasn't done well on you. Sabertooth being superior takes it down with ease. We do then have a Nemona fight, but there's literally only one bit worth talking about. There's this bit where she terastallizes, and I managed to do some pretty good damage with the Bulldoze. She then uses a Yawn against me, which I think is quite rude, as my Pokemon does not deserve to be drowsy. I then end up using an Electric Terrain on the next turn, and that's because Electric Terrain has some cool abilities, as you can see, and that means that the Yawn ends up doing nothing. Bit weird she went for it twice in a row though, as it would have failed anyway. Anyway, let's get on to the next gym leader, that being the electric leader, Iono. It can't really do much to us other than quick attack, so it does that for minimal damage, but we hit back with a power gem. A power gem is gonna take this thing out in 1. Next up, we have the Belly Bolt. Against it, we do a little under half with our Bulldoze. We do activate the Electromorphosis, but it doesn't matter. Because of our ground type, it can't use an electric move against us, and it does hit us quite heavy with a water gun. On the next turn, we trade shots exactly the same, both of us just managing to hold on a sliver of health. And unfortunately for Belly Bolt, that's all it managed to write. Obviously, I'm faster, I'm gonna take it out on the next turn. Her next Pokemon is Luxio. Now, this thing can survive a Bulldoze. However, providing it doesn't crit, it can't take me out with a bite. It obviously hits me, and it knocks me down to 4 health. We got lucky enough here. However, its fate is obviously sealed. We managed to get a crit. Obviously, that didn't matter, but it's nice to have. I absolutely cannot stand a hit from this Miss Magius. Therefore, I decide it's time to switch out, and we bring in Arctidus. On the switch in, it hits me with a pretty heavy Hex, but I can survive a couple more. On the next turn, it does manage to get a Confuser off. Now, obviously, I should have equipped a berry here, but I didn't quite think of it, so I hadn't done so. And I get punished for this. I hit myself in confusion 2 times in a row. I actually nearly knocked myself out here. Very lucky to just survive. Obviously, we cannot survive here. Therefore, I need to switch out to my last healthy Pokemon, that being Dodo. Dodo's pretty bulky himself, so the Hex doesn't end up doing too much damage. She then confuses me again with Confuse Ray, which obviously is not that good for us. Thankfully, though, we had our bad luck. We've hit ourselves twice, therefore we can get off our bug bike for good damage. And although it looks like it was gonna not take it out because I did less than half, it must have been a low roll the first turn as the next bug bite finishes her off. Iono is a scary gym, so thank God we got past it. It fell asleep, must have been tired. You don't say. Why else would it go to sleep, you bloody morons? Now, I did skip the previous Team Star battle. That is because it was incredibly easy. However, with this one, 2/3 of our team isn't great against it, so let's see how it goes. Torkoal's Drought does me a favor and activates my photosynthesis, making my speed higher. My earth power isn't quite enough to take it out. However, it does a lot of damage with Flame Wheel thanks to that sun being up. Thankfully for me, it doesn't get another chance to hit me, and I finish it off with another earth power. She decides just to go for a Screech. Now, this isn't too bad, but I'm already pretty frail, so I want to be careful here. My earth power does about 1/3 damage, but unfortunately, at the end of this turn, she has the ability Speed Boost, so she's now going to be faster than us as well. Expecting a special attack, being Screeched, I can't stay in any longer. Therefore, I decide to bring in Arctidus. Arctidus was a good idea because we're in the sun still, so photosynthesis boosts her special defense. Well, it would have been, but she went for Blazing Torque, a physical move, and on top of that, it gets the 30% chance to burn. Brilliant. It then goes for a Screech against us for some reason, and because it does this, I've decided to go for a Noble Roar. So Noble Roar is an attack that will lower both special attack and attack. Now, I'm not going to stay in at this point, therefore I switch back out and I decide to bring in Sabertooth again. My reasoning for this is quite clever though. It can't do too much damage because we've lowered its attack, and on top of that, the sun wears out. Therefore, its attacks won't be doing as much damage from here on out. It then goes for yet another Screech. I don't really know why it's using this, as it'd be wiser to attack me, but I'm not going to complain as my earth power can now hit it and it's now in range of being taken out. It is, however, faster than me, therefore it's not safe to stay in. If it uses a special move, I will be taken out, so I switch into Dodo hoping for that special move. Unfortunately, I was incorrect. I can Terastallize though, and this means that I'm pure fighting type. I've lost that bug type, so I'm no longer weak to her. However, it turns out I was overthinking. She Screeches me yet again, so the bug typing didn't even matter this turn, and a low kick because of how heavy this bugger is takes it off its wheels. It was fairly close, but we did get through it. At this point, we can run into a Brute Bonnet. We do manage to catch it, and because of that, we give it the name Ostrapales. It's now time to face an Earthworm and play a game of Whack-A-Mole. He does a lot of damage to our Dodo, and I'm wrapped at this point. Although my low kick does a lot, I'm slower than it. I'm wrapped. Like, it's faster than me. I can't switch out. I have to make a decision. You are my starter, Dodo, and I'm so sorry. I've got to let you go here. Oh, he just throws and goes for a wrap. Thank God we've managed to keep our Dodo. And with that celebration, let's get right on to the next gym, the water type leader being Kofu. I Terastallize just in case he's going to use an Aqua Jet, as that would do some major damage to us. However, he doesn't even attempt that, so all his Pokemon go down to one Terastallized Thunderbolt. Now that's done, we run into a Fluttermane. I catch it and I give it the name Gastornis. Now that we've got a Ghost type on our team, why don't we go ahead and face the normal gym being Larry. I'm gonna go ahead and set off an electric terrain. That is gonna make the yawn that he's about to use fail and up my electric type attacks. Now, I know the Kamala's gonna go for Slam. Sabertooth would take some pretty heavy damage, therefore I decide to switch into Gastornis. His ghost typing will make it so Slam cannot touch us. It tries to be clever with the Sucker Punch, but I thought this through. I'm using a Spite, and that means Sucker Punch now has 0 PP. With that done, I decide it's time to switch out yet again. This time, I decide to bring in Arctidus, and he just goes for Yawn. The electric terrain's up, so it fails, obviously, but weird mindset of why he used that. I can then start using some Noble Roars. This lowers both his special attack and attack, and it makes his slams do very little damage. On top of this, I've given myself some leftovers, so once his attack's low enough, we'll actually recover more than he does to us. I keep doing this until the electric train disappears and he can use Yawn again. At which point, I can just bring in Sabertooth again, set up the electric train all again, and his Yawn will no longer do anything. With that up, we can do yet another switch out. This time, we're going to be bringing Dodo in. As you can see, the Slam doesn't manage to do too much damage to us. At this point, it's time to start going for some bulk ups. I decide to spam that, raising both my attack and defense. I decide to do this up until the point the electric terrain has disappeared and we do actually get hit with a Yawn. I then flame charge in order to up my speed, but doesn't take him out, allowing him to get a Slam off on me. Doesn't do much damage though, and this turn I do end up falling asleep. Thankfully though, we've thought about it. This time we've equipped a berry, and guess what? We wake up this turn. Kamala being in the red obviously isn't going to survive the very next turn, so we take him out. Dunsparce then comes out, but it cannot take the power of one brick break, and thanks to them speed boosts from them flame charges before, we're faster than Staraptor, so we can one-shot that as well. And since that's our 5th gym badge, we're officially past the halfway point. However, Nemona doesn't want to get lazy and putting our feet up. Therefore, right after this battle, we have to fight her. Her Lycanroc hits us with a bite for very minimal damage as we hit back with an earth power and one-shot it. She then sends out her Gumi, therefore I decide to switch out. I bring in Arctidus, it's got a fairy typing, therefore it's a free switching because dragon moves can't affect it. I then use this opportunity to get off a Sing. This is going to put it to sleep. And now we just continue using Noble Roar until it's at -6. Once that's done, I go for a Sing and miss not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 bloody times. And on the 5th, we finally get it off. That's 2 out of 6. 55% accuracy. More like 0% accuracy. With that done, I decide Arctidus needs a bit of a rest on his vocal cords, so we decide to bring in Dodo. I use a bulk up while she's sleeping. When she wakes up, she just goes for Dragon Pulse, and it does next to no damage. Therefore, I decide just to set up to +6. After this, I use a Morning Sun. The idea here is I get some health back. They hit us with Dragon Pulse. It doesn't do much damage, and we're in the green. At +6, 1 Flame Charge is enough to take the Gumi out, and on top of that, it gives us a speed boost for the next few Pokemon. Hormo goes down to 1 terrestrialized Brick Break. Her last Pokemon, Scaladurge, could be a problem with its ghost type, but she terrestrializes it, making it lose that. Therefore, it's easy. One last little higher, and her Scaladurge is gone. We then run into our next encounter, and that's going to be Roaring Moon. It gets caught, and it's given the name Pelagornis. All that done means that it's finally time for us to face Rhyme, the ghost-type gym leader. I start off the battle by terrestrializing my Gastornis. This makes it lose its ghost type, and therefore its weakness to it. This stops Shadow Sneak from being a major threat to us. I can then use Dazzling Gleam. It's a pretty powerful attack, so it knocks the Banette into low health and breaks the Mimikyu's disguise, so we can now attack it. Banette then uses Icy Wind, but this does very minimal damage to both my Pokemon. However, they do both get a speed drop because of this. Ostrapalaz can then pay back the Mimikyu, but it survives on a Slither. Cause we terrestrialize, the crowd goes wild and gives both our Pokemon boosts to every stat. Cause they're low, all we need to do is use 1 more Dazzling Gleam, and both the Banette and Mimikyu are going down under. Her ace, being her Toxtricity, goes down to just 1 Shadow Ball from Gastornis. Obviously super effective. You should have kept it a poison type, love. And with that, Ostrapalaz just needs to use 1 payback, and the Houndstone is gone out of here. And there we have it, the 6th gym badge from the Queen of Rap. This Great Tusk is incredibly weak. Like, just look at it run away here because we one-shot it with a Dazzling Gleam. It deserves a strong trainer though, so let's try get it. We do end up catching it, and we give it the nickname of Mammoth, because self-explanatory, right? He's staying in the box though, and that is because we're against the Psychic Gym Leader, Tulip. Not that ends up being a challenge at all though, because if you don't know, Pelagornis has an incredible move pool, and we can one-shot literally every single one of her Pokemon thanks to the type advantages. Look at these Iten taking up all this space and laughing at the gym leader for being swooped by us. All of that leads up to this, the final gym leader being Grusha and his ice types. I decided to equip a wide lens to my Mammoth before this battle, making the Rock Slide 99% accurate. A terrestrialized body press then annihilates the Beartic. His Satitan then goes down in the exact same way to the exact same move, even though it's bulkier. Alteria's durability is far worse than Satitan's, therefore we managed to smush this little bird and get ourselves the final gym badge. Now, we do have the fairy type member of Team Star being Ortega, and it should be difficult. You know, most our team is actually weak to the fairy type. However, we have Arctidus who can Noble Roar. The Aqua Tail that they use does manage to do some decent damage, but you gotta think, each turn they're gonna be doing less damage to us, and we heal with leftovers. Once it's low enough where they're doing less than a quarter damage to us, we can also set up a substitute to avoid the crits. After that, we take it 1 step further, and we can now start Calm Minding. Once we Carmine to +6 and we make sure we've got a substitute off, we can start hitting off Psychics. This is going to one-shot the Azumarill. We actually one-shot everything up until the Starmobile, and at that point, I decided to Rastalize into my Psychic Terra-type. It is faster than us, so it does get a Steel Roller off. We've still got our sub up though, so it's not going to touch us, but it does break it. The Psychic that we are then using on that turn manages to do some incredible damage, almost one-shotting it. Because I lost my Fairy typing, it now uses a Magical Talk against us, but it's not enough to take us out, and that seals its fate. One more Psychic, and the Starmobile has been taken down in all of its glory. We do finally get the last Herba Mystica, and it's gonna be the spicy one. And it had some kick to it. Even Koraidon, a dragon, couldn't take it. And with all that done, it is finally time for us to make our way onto one of the last challenges, being the Elite Four. The first member of them being the ground type, Rika. The first Pokemon, Whiscash, cannot stand a Trailblaze from us, thanks to it being 4 times effective and us having some pretty powerful attack. But this does up our speed for everything else. Now, before this battle, I decided to do something. I equipped the loaded dice onto my Pokemon. You pair that with Bullet Seed, a move that has 25 base power, always hitting 4 times. It's a minimum of 100 base power, and then Stab Terastallization, and you're on to a winner. And guess what? Since this is a multi-hit move, Donphan doesn't even manage to give us any trouble, because Sturdy doesn't work, as technically we've hit him 4 times. Honestly, Oshrapalas hadn't really impressed me up until this point. He's proven his worth by managing to solo what is supposed to be one of the strongest trainers in the land. That means we can go on to the second member of the Elite Four, being Poppy, and she has all of the steel types. Doesn't really look fitting for her, but oh well, let's go on. I then go on to bulk up with my Mammoth, while she just uses her Copperaja to lay some stones on the floor. I bulk up again, and I do get hit with a Play Rough, and although it's super effective, it does next to no damage to me thanks to them 2 defense boosts that we've already got. After the third bulk up, I decided I wanted to return the favor and set up some Stealth Rocks of my own. Being at half health, I can't take another risk, therefore we use an Earthquake to finish off the Copperaja. I then switch to Body Press and crush his little crow. That bell's not going to be ringing as I deform it by flattening it. And the reason for the Stealth Rocks, because we've already got a bit of damage on him, Magnezone Sturdy doesn't activate to take him out. Now, the last Pokemon is Tinkaton, but even this cannot withstand the Body Press as we manage to take it out in 1, even though it's terrestrialized. We then get the return of Larry. This time he's thrown his normal types in the bin and he's opting to use his flying types. I equipped a wide lens to Sabertooth so my charge beam can almost never miss. Tropius then decides to use Sunny Day. Now my ability photosynthesis works in the sun as well, so we both get speed boost from this baby. Knowing a solar beam's coming, I decide to Terrastalize. This makes me pure electric type, losing that pesky grass weakness. The second charge beam hits, and this is exactly why I gave it to us, as we get a special attack boost. Tropius then does manage to get the solar beam off, and it does about 1/3 damage to us. One more does manage to take him out, but unfortunately for me, it doesn't give us another boost. His next Pokemon, Staraptor, will go down to a charge beam, and this time we do get the boost. It's more like 50%, never mind 70% like it should be. Altaria has a resistance to electric, so I use the Rock-type Power Gem. Unfortunately, it manages to hold on though. Thanks to the sun, it's going to go for Flamethrower, but this doesn't do much damage to us. Therefore, we know we're safe. My next move is obviously going to take the Altaria down, as it was just on a sliver. I only just missed that original range. Oricorio isn't quite as lucky though. 1 Power Gem manages to annihilate this little bugger. The last Pokemon, being the Flamigo, cannot withstand the power of our Thunderbolt. Therefore, we take that down as well. And that being done means we are going to run into the Hassel fight, the Dragon Trainer. He hits me with a Super Fang, which is detrimental as it takes half my health, but I decide to substitute that same turn, knocking me down to 1/4. Thankfully, I put leftovers on, so I do regain a little bit before we carry on to the next turn. On this next turn, he uses Air Slash, but we do dodge it thanks to Friendship, and that means we can get off a Calm Mind. On the next turn, he does hit the Air Slash, and as you can see, it doesn't do much damage, so that dodge didn't really matter anyway. The plan would have worked regardless. but it does allow me to set up a few more Carmines. Once I've got ourselves to +3, he has actually knocked me quite low. I don't want to risk a crit here, so I just use a Dazzling Gleam, and that's going to one-shot the Noivern. After that, it's a complete game over, though. I can one-shot literally every one of his Pokemon. That sub was only up just in case I got crit before then I could have set up another Carmine against one of the other Pokemon scot-free. However, didn't need to, so we sweep through him. And with that done, it's finally time for us to take on the champion, being Geeta. Ostrapales can one-shot a Spathro with a Sucker Punch, and although I do get a crit, it really wasn't necessary. That was mentally overkill. Sucker Punch does good damage to the Go-Go, but unfortunately for me, its Play Rough also does good damage to me. It missed the second Play Rough, therefore we can take it out, and he's only done that little bit of damage to us. I then decide to Spore the Avalugg in order to put it to sleep. I then decide it's not worth staying in. He can obviously one-shot me. I switch into Dodo. I'll tell you what, it's a good thing I did, as he wakes up and hits me with a pretty heavy Avalanche. I Brick Break it and do a little less than half, but its second Avalanche does some amazing damage to us because obviously it went second with it. I've got no way of taking it out. I need to keep Dodo safe. Therefore, let's go and switch into Gastornis. He'll use one Mystical Fire and the Avalugg goes down because his special defense is trash. King Gambit is just a bit too strong for us. Therefore, I decide to bring in the beefy boy that is our Mammoth, and he can tag the Iron Head like a champ. It just takes one body press, and King Gambit, being 4 times weak to it, goes down. Veluza does manage to hold on against an Earthquake, but it goes for liquidation. Thankfully, this turn I terrestrialize, so it can't do much damage to us. Its next turn does end up being its last, though. Bye-bye, Veluza. And even though it's proper anticlimactic, one more body press onto the Glimora is more than enough for us to have taken down Geeta. Not really strong for a champion, are you now? We then have 3 very easy battles. 3 sweeps being Clavel, Arven, and Penny. Them all being done is gonna lead us into the last fight against Nemona, though. Then we're against the Lycanroc. It uses Stealth Rocks on us, and I decide just to bulk up. It only knows physical attacks, so upping my defense is key. It then drill runs me, but because I've upped my defense, it doesn't do much damage as I carry on bulking up. She then manages to get 3 crits in a row. Like, I know drill run has a heightened crit chance, but 3 in a row is ridiculous. She then does miss the next one. Now, that could have been deadly if that one had a crit as well, but thankfully we didn't have to worry about it. So we can Earthquake, and Lycanroc is finally down. From here, unfortunately for Nemona, it is lights out. At this point, I'm strong enough where I can cleanly sweep her entire team. I'm stronger than literally all of them, so can one-shot the lot. She's way too happy for someone that's just been absolutely annihilated. Skipping through to the end of the game, we then find out that Sada isn't real. She's actually a robot. Now, I don't want to risk another thing like the Terminator films, so let's get on and take her down. I decide to lead with Mammoth and use a bulk up, and for some reason, her Slitherwing decides to go for a lunge against us. I go for another bulk up because she's knocked my attack down 1. Therefore, I've got beefy defense for when she Zen headbutts me. I then decide to rapid spin as I want to up my speed. However, this Slitherwing seems to know what I'm going to do as it went for a low sweep and that lowers my speed. I then go for yet another bulk up, but she decides to low sweep me again, knocking me -1 on speed. She then misses a Zen headbutt. This allows me to get off a rapid spin to get back to neutral speed. And I don't want to play these stat lowering, stat upping games again. Therefore, I finish it off with 1 more rapid spin and take it out. Her Scream Tail then falls to just 1 Earthquake thanks to my double attack. Brute Bonnet is obviously gonna fall to a body press thanks to its dark typing. We then have Sandy Shocks come out and I need to be a bit faster. Therefore, I use 1 more rapid spin, but it does manage to hit an Earth Power and that almost takes me out. I know for a fact using an Earthquake here is gonna wipe it out of here. Next on the chopping board is Flutter Mane. 1 more Earthquake and that thing goes down. Crit really wasn't necessary considering how weak it is. We then have her final Pokemon, Roaring Moon. I don't even need to terrestrialize and a body press finishes this thing off. And there you have it. I'm the greatest Paradox trainer there is out there. The AI stands no chance. Even if it has all that computer power, I've got this brain power and brawn.